Believe it or not, some parasites in real life are way worse than Venom, the superhero villain from the Marvel comics and the Sony movies. Or maybe even worse than the parasites from the famous manga and anime created by Hitoshi Iwaki. That's right, real life parasites can actually take control of their host's body and make them do anything they want for their own benefit. So stick till the end of this video to see the horrors that dwell in nature. For starters, what are parasites even? Well, they're an organism, which means a living thing basically, which enters the body of another organism or another living thing called the host, and basically steals all the nutrients that the host takes. And let's just say that it doesn't always end well for the host. It's kind of like you were living in an apartment but you weren't paying the rent. Now in this case, you're the parasite and the landlord the host. Maybe not a great example, but you get the idea. This means that Venom from the movies or comics isn't a parasite. That explains why he gets mad every time you call him that. He's in fact a symbiote, which they also call him. Now a symbiote is a parasite but good, meaning it actually helps the organism it lives with, and they both need each other to survive. An easy example is your microbiota. Basically all microorganisms or tiny living things all over your body. What about the parasites from the anime? Well, in this universe, apart from some exceptions, they are actually parasites, and terrible ones too. But what do these two franchises have in common? Well, they're aliens, so we're good for now, aren't we? Unless an asteroid comes crashing filled with a bunch of these creatures, we're okay, right? No, that's right, real life parasites can be as scary if not worse than in fiction. So let's dive into that right now, going from ones that can control your mind to making your literal body their home. Starting with Toxoplasma gondii. Let's call it TG for short. Now what does it do? Well, it infects warm-blooded animals, rodents mainly, so basically rats or mice. Once it has entered the body, it alters its behavior, and these types of parasites are called behavior-altering parasites, so pretty convenient. The rat in this example isn't scared by its natural enemy, the cat obviously, meaning that it completely ignores Ginger here, and guess what? Now the parasite is in Ginger's insides, and that's exactly what it wanted the entire time, to get to its permanent host, who in this case is Ginger, unfortunately, in which it continues to live its life and reproduce. The worst part is that TG can infect humans too. In fact, some studies show that up to 50% of the global population has been exposed to TG. In humans, this parasite can cause behavioral and personality changes, but there's only little evidence supporting that. However, there is evidence that it may cause humans to unalive themselves. One of the most known parasites is Simotoa exigua, or tongue-eating louse. You heard me right, tongue-eating parasite. Yes, I know, it's disgusting, really weird, and disturbing. It is a parasitic isopod, about a few centimeters long, that infects fish. It enters into the fish from its gills, then it attaches itself to the base of its tongue. Then it starts its act, first by cutting off the blood flow to the tongue, which causes the tongue to necrose, meaning that all the living cells in it die, which in return make the tongue fall off. The fish is now tongueless, if that is even a word, so the louse attaches itself to the tongue stub to become the fish's new tongue. But it also continuously consumes the host fish's blood and mucus? This just gets weirder and weirder. The only good thing about this parasite, if you can even say that, is that it does not kill its hosts. In fact, it is the only known parasite to effectively replace a host's organ and be able to do the same function. Now this next one is one of my favorites, not to be creepy or anything. It's cordyceps, a type of fungus. Some of you might have heard of it. It's also called the zombie fungus. That's because it infects insects like ants and other arthropods, and then enters their nervous system and controls their mind. And this time, it makes our ant climb a really high place. Once arrived at destination, it starts its act, first killing the host, and then it sprouts from its body. The next step is obviously to infect other victims. So cordyceps releases spores, infecting all other insects nearby. It has inspired a lot of fiction. For example, in the famous video game or television series The Last of Us, a cordyceps fungus infects humans and yes, causing a zombie apocalypse. The next parasite is one of the worst, and it's parasitic wasps. That's right, wasps. People are scared of wasps, let alone parasitic wasp. Parasitic wasp I'll talk about is the spider wasp. And don't worry, it's not a spider with wings, that would have been a literal nightmare. The female spider wasp hunts spiders, hence the name, spider wasps. They look out for spiders, usually ones that are bigger than themselves, and once they find one, they use their painful sting to attack. But they don't kill it, yet. No, killing it would have been better actually. Instead, they paralyze it. Next, they take it to their nest, dragging it on the floor, and once arrived, they lay one single egg on the spider's abdomen. Now the worst part, the egg hatches, so the larva begins to feed on the spider. First, the non-vital parts of its body, so that it stays alive as long as possible. Finally, the spider dies after it has been fully consumed, and the larva emerges as an adult wasp, flying out to find other victims. After this, you might have some empathy towards spiders, and maybe hate wasps even more. But keep in mind, by doing so, spider wasps keep the ecosystem balanced as they control spider populations. As you can see, all these parasites feel like they come straight out of your worst nightmares, and have in fact inspired a lot of fiction. But as you might have guessed, most of these parasites affect animals, if not for a select few. So now let's take a look at parasites that infect a different kind of host, us. Let's start with what is probably the most known parasite in the world, the one that causes malaria, Plasmodium. Maybe you already know this parasite's life cycle. First, you have to get bit by a mosquito carrying Plasmodium. Then it enters your bloodstream. And that's when it starts targeting the liver and red blood cells. It multiplies throughout the body. The host then starts feeling cycles of high fever and fatigue. Thus, malaria remains one of the deadliest parasitic diseases in the world, with hundreds of thousands of deaths each year, mostly affecting pregnant women and young children. The brain-eating amoeba is a microscopic amoeba, which means it's a cell capable of altering its shape. It is found in warm freshwater and enters the human body through the nose. And then it makes its way to the brain. So if you're like me and you don't have one, you're good. Just like the name suggests, it causes a rapid and fatal infection, destroying brain tissue, leading to severe symptoms, and the host has now only a few days left, because the survival rate is less than 5%. This last one is probably the worst parasite on the list, and it is the guinea worm. It can infect you if you drink water containing guinea worm larvae, contained inside a small crustacean called copepods. Then it travels through your body into your digestive system. And once it enters the stomach, the acid digests the copepods, allowing the release of the guinea worm. It penetrates the digestive tract and escapes into your body. And for an entire year, you live with the worm inside of you, until it grows to an adult. Now it decides to exit, and usually it's from the leg. How does it exit, you may ask? Well, the worm creates a really painful blister on your skin. After some time, the blister bursts, allowing the worm to get out. However, it doesn't come out as fast as you think. It can actually take multiple weeks. And during that period of 3 to 10 weeks of the worm coming out, you'll have to suffer as it is intensely painful. And you probably won't be able to use your leg either. There is no real cure for the guinea worm, but you can help it exit your body by guiding it with a stick. However, if for some reason the worm was to break, it will die, leaving you severe pain and swelling. Keep in mind that this disease only occurs in places with poor access to clean water. Only 14 cases have occurred in 2023, and death only occurs in 1% of cases. So there you have it. As you can see, real-life parasites can be as terrifying, if not worse, than in fiction, whether they affect animals or humans. What do you think about all of this? Go and write down in the comments what you thought was the worst parasite of all, and whether you would prefer facing the ones from this video, or ones like the symbiotes from Marvel, or from Parasite by Hitoshi Iwaki. And as always, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, you know the deal. I'll see ya in the next one.